Are back with another podcast, ladies and gentlemen. It's like we do this every week or something. It is No Sugar, No Cream podcast, and it's Tuesday, and we're live. Guys, appreciate you listening and checking us out. Please feel free to follow us and share the podcast. Like us on Facebook there, No Sugar, No Cream podcast. And we're both on social media. Tim Wolf, Seth Ohms on Instagram. And we're back for another podcast and looking happy as ever. Man, aren't you glad to see us? They're happy. Here's a quick question for you. Any idea what the happiest country in the world is? They've already put it out.
Finland, one of the Scandinavian. I think it's Finland.
Yep. The only way. Excellent. Yeah, Finland, then Denmark, Iceland, Sweden, then Israel. Israel is in the top 5. That might have changed.
Yeah, the Scandinavian countries.
It's interesting. I wonder how they. I mean, I guess they ask them, huh? On a scale of 1 to 10, how happy are you? Well, here in Iceland. Well, you know, which Iceland, Greenland is the one that has a lot of ice, and Iceland doesn't have as much. Right?
I think you're correct.
They switched it around or something.
Yes.
To trick people or something. Like that's the rumor. I heard that before.
Yeah,
we gotcha. I don't know why I'm speaking this.
I believe Greenland is part of Denmark.
Okay,
and Iceland is its own country with not many people. Only about 300,000 people or 250,000 people.
Yeah, you didn't think
a very small country.
Third happiest country, Iceland is. Oh, Sweden. Sweden. That's where the PewDiePie, the biggest YouTuber.
He's from Sweden, but he lives in Japan now.
Lives in Japan now, and
Spotify, of course, is from Sweden. Spotify is a Swedish company.
Oh, I did not know that. Okay, and they're just happy collecting that money. I mean, that's a big company. I mean, goodness, I feel like you could run the country off the. Well, no, it's not super profitable, but something like a big profitable company, like you could probably feed your entire country no problem. I mean, man, what Apple has? What they say, billions just in cash, just sitting there ready to buy anything they want. But speaking of which, somebody's trying to sell. They're trying to sell Star Wars. I guess supposedly for the last 9 months they've been trying to shop around Star Wars, which no takers. I was like, I'm kind of hoping Amazon would take it. They've done really well with the properties they've gotten, but like in fact, I'm super pumped that they have 007. I'm excited to see. I think we mentioned that before. I'm excited to see what they do with 007. But I mean, Disney they had the same person in charge, and they were just kind of made. I mean, they just made some horrible mistakes. It just annoyed the main
the Star Wars
like
fan,
crazy.
fan base,
yeah. So we'll see what the future has. There's a new series. They've done some good series. I mean, the biggest hit that saved them by far. Has been Little Leota. You got the Mandalorian, and they're working on a movie. Last time I checked, so, but I guess they scratched doing a trilogy. I mean, they haven't come out with them. It's been 7 years since there was the trilogy ended, and they haven't started another trilogy or something. I think they're headed in another direction, but they probably put some things on pause if they're trying to sell it. So I don't know. It doesn't look like it's going to sell, I guess. So we'll see what goes from there. But I'm still a big Star Wars fan, and always looking forward to But Disney Plus has put some good shows, and then just kind of put on some shows that weren't as good. But for the most part, I've liked all their series. And then on that same track, of course, Disney owns Marvel, and Marvel's big thing was the Avengers, and after the series came to a conclusion, they killed off Iron Man. Robert Downey Jr. is coming back as a villain, which is interesting. But they haven't been able to hit anything too well out of the park since the main Avengers kind of ended here for a while. Now, here recently, they just came out with Thunderbolt, which is kind of like a bunch of like troublemaking superpower, a bunch of some of just a few different random superheroes, and that's in theaters right now. And it did so well that they changed the name of it to New Avengers, and the movie's done so well. So that would be interesting to see. It helps bring back the whole bring back Marvel a little bit. But I'm still a big fan of Spider-Man. I grew up with Spider-Man. That's always been my dad's favorite one, and we were a big cartoon fan. And then, of course, I collect the Turtles. I haven't gotten any new ones in a while. I've stopped. I've been wanting to get
the Ninja Turtles.
The Turtles, yeah, which is from a regular original comic from the early '80s that just had a run of like 10 comics originally, which that would be cool to own one of those. But it just went crazy, and then they made the cartoon that did really well, and then along with the cartoon, they started doing the whole slew of action figures in the late '80s. And there's original 10 that from that original run. There's the original 10, and I have all 10 of those.
Wow,
they're all dated 1980, 80.
Do you have them under lock and key? Because
yes. Don't come for them. But I want to get them graded, and that makes them really valuable and stuff.
I didn't know you had all 10. Congratulations.
Yeah. I was able to accomplish that this last year. Which they're in different boxes and stuff, and I guess I need to get them out. But I want to send them off and get them graded, which is about $60-$70 per figure. But then that can make the value of them really go up, because you're showing, how people really like the grading.
So the grading, is there some organization that regulates graders? I mean, what if you got a good grader or a bad grader? I mean, like, what if they vary? It's opinion. That's just your opinion, man.
Exactly. That's something we could talk about too. Tim did introduce me to, but
the Big Lebowski.
Big Lebowski. Finally watched. I've never seen the Big Lebowski, and finally watched it. But so to answer your question, just really, I don't think they're held accountable to anybody really, but they just have the notoriety. They have respect for being pretty hardcore. I mean, I'm pretty sure it's kind of a situation where it's going to be impossible to get a 10 unless it's like straight out of the factory. And even like especially with cards, you can have them brand new, all the corners just spick and span, but a majority of the just regular baseball cards and stuff like that, they're not going to be centered. They're either closer to the top or bottom, and that instantly knocks off 2 points. Or I guess I was watching the thing. I was like, gosh, you got the perfect looking card, and then just it's just higher on the top than the bottom. But yeah, I'm into action figures, and I have a slew of different ones. But yeah, the 4 original, but there's the 10 back is all the Turtles, and that's probably my most valuable collection is those Turtles. And then there's different ones through the 90s, and I have a slew of different ones that I've collected. I probably have maybe between 30 and 40 different figures. Now the most expensive one is one that I guess they didn't make a lot of, and it's a villain, and it's a cat, and it's called Scat or something like that. And those just not even in the original packaging is worth $1,000 at least. And the original packaging,
is that one of the 10?
No, that came out in the 90s. But I guess they hardly made that many of them. But but each of those Turtles, especially, I mean, those back 10 will be worth well over, especially if they're graded. I mean, 250 and up. Even not in the box, the regular turtles go at least for 200 plus. So, and I got them years ago. I got them. I probably hold on. I've had the original 4, unpunched, where like they don't have the little thing where it never hung on never hung up, so it isn't punched through to hold on to the thing. If that makes sense.
So there's no hole there, or
there's no hole. It's just like you can see the little imprint where like it would punch through if you hung it on something. So I have the original 4, and I got those for $200, all 4 of them, and that's probably worth about $1,000 right there.
Yeehaw!
And that's what
who's buying dinner tonight?
Man, I could take you out to eat over and over, hypothetically, with my assets that just sit there. Especially you, Tim has a number of. Tim could give a tour for hours. All the artwork you have basically a museum.
Yeah, I like artwork. In fact,
we both have a love for.
But I love. I mean, I'm not interested in prints. I want original works.
Oh, yeah.
And there's a guy coming across my feed, and I'm a Christian, and my faith is very important to me. And there's an artist, just amazing artist, doing paint. Can't remember his name, but he's got some amazing paintings of Christian figures and Christian oriented themes. And he sells prints, but I would like to get some of his originals. Just stunning work. If my phone wasn't being used as the camera, I would Google it, but amazing artists, just stunning stuff. I'm not a big fan of the prints of stuff. I want the original.
Yeah, it's fun to have something that's gonna. I mean, art's one of the biggest things going up in value. Consistently over the years.
Yeah, I was living in New York in the '90s, and I remember going to Central Park, and on this one side of Central Park, they used to, and I don't know if they still do. There's artists selling their paintings, and I bought 2 paintings from a guy who was there, and he referred to them like they were his own. And they were like really bright colors, like Haitian themed. They were exaggerated fruit. Some ladies who were working ladies, with their working in the fields kind of attire kind of thing, and they're hauling like an avocado that's like 10 feet long. One of them is an avocado, and the other one is a tomato, I think. And so it's like certain kind of artwork, very bright colors. And I bought them, I think, for $50 a piece. One smaller than the other one. I think they were priced differently. One might have been $55 and the other one $65 or something like that in the 90s. And then they were in a box for forever because I was living in an apartment. I didn't have room for artwork. And so when I moved to Nashville, I dug all that artwork out, and I pulled those out, and you could read the artist's name. And I just thought, man, let's just see if this guy is, now there's internet, and I wonder if he has an Instagram page, all that kind of stuff, which you didn't have in the 90s. And I Googled the guy's name, and first of all, he died. He's no longer alive. And his works have been going for as much as $30,000 a piece. So,
and you probably have some of the.
So I have two. Well, I don't know how long he painted, but mine could be conceivably, again, like you go grading. Is it top quality? Is it they're going to say, well, that's a forgery. Is it not big enough? These are relatively small. They're only like that big. One's bigger than the other.
They look amazing.
Thank you. Yeah. And so they're hanging in the kitchen, and they could be worth, $30,000 a piece, and I just bought them, because they look cool. And so then I bought another set of paintings from a guy and these were scenes of New York, of Central Park. One of them was of the Dakota Building, which is where John Lennon lived, and he was shot in front of the Dakota Building. It's right on the west side of the Central Park. And so these are paintings, still paintings, scenery paintings. And I thought, well, maybe his paintings are worth a lot of money too.
That's funny.
But no.
Nope.
No. probably worth
One
no
for
more
two?
than I
One
paid.
for two.
1 for 2. 1 for 2. He's still around.
But
That guy's still alive.
Mhm.
And I found his name. I don't even know if he's painting anymore, but I did find him, and just nothing special, nothing, no appreciation. I think you have to die
Yeah,
as an
no, that's
artist.
the thing, isn't it? With artwork, I mean, once you die,
It goes up.
it goes up. But there's still there, there is still a number of artists that are very popular. I can't imagine like some of these artists can paint up something real quick, like in an hour, and sell it for thousands of dollars. Could you imagine just basically anything you touch and put a little bit of effort into? Just
Well,
being able to sell for thousands
they
of
say
dollars?
that Salvador Dali, in his later years, they put blank canvases in front of him, and he just signed a whole bunch of blank canvases that could later be filled in, and then could be, this is a legitimate Dali because his signature was legit.
Yeah. Wow,
So
that's shady.
shady, yes, shady. So, just because it's got the artist's name on it, and
But then you'll never know. And I mean, unless there's people that could probably tell the style, be like, hey, this is one of his style. You probably didn't do this, but
so yeah, and a lot of those artists, when they get big enough, they don't even paint most of it. They have people, apprentices, who paint most of it, and then they put the finishing touches on it. And that's been time immemorial, even from probably the Renaissance period. There's been that, so Michelangelo, or a painting by Rubens. They didn't necessarily paint the whole thing. They had acolytes or apprentices that were doing a lot of the work, and then they did the finishing touches. I mean, that's been going on for centuries, so not uncommon. But so yeah,
I'll tell you a little art story. So I'm from Northwest Arkansas, and what was it? Probably 20 years ago or so, art started just being bought by anonymously, like really expensive artwork all over the world was just kind of disappearing, um, and it was kind of known that by the same person was anonymously buying it or whatever. It was going. They're all this art was disappearing.
Yeah, one of the Sam Walton
and
offspring.
Spoiler alert.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Rewind. We'll edit that part out.
So it was all disappearing, and people were starting to wonder, where is this artwork going? Professional. There's people that they're professional. That's their job, is to evaluate art and everything, and they're very, there's a certain caliber of person to this and the environment they like to be in. And then it comes out that all this artwork is going to be in Northwest Arkansas, like in the middle of nowhere. And people are like, what, Arkansas? We got to go to Arkansas to see this art? And there was people were not so happy about this. And it was quite the stir in the art community. And but they built amazing facility. The art building itself is free to go to. They might just have some exhibits from time to time that they might charge a little bit more for, but just the building itself is just a piece of artwork itself.
Wow.
What was it? Is it called the Walton Art Center, I believe? Just the building itself is a piece of artwork, and then there's some large things outside, and then you get there's a bunch of works of art that very valuable that are always there. You can always see, and then they put on shows and stuff, and then there's trails through the woods that link with downtown Bentonville and everything, so you can walk all the trails and everything, and it's very beautiful. So, and so I think people's opinions, because it's so beautiful and unique in that way. It's not in some big city town. It's in a very nice facility, well taken care of. That the art community kind of was like, okay, this is pretty nice. But I was Ubering when I was up there, and I was curious about this, how much of this is really true. If the art critics were really like we're really concerned and kind of annoyed about this. And I ran across somebody that was an art critic, and he dealt with art, and it was Ubering him to the airport. And sure enough, I just asked him, I was like, so is this true that the art that just put that the art world was turned upside down by this whole situation, by all this art disappearing? He's like, yes, it's very true. The people were not very happy about it coming. So it was very interesting to get somebody that was in that world, confirm that whole story, that yes, that was true. It was a weird to have all this art just disappear and then go to the middle of Arkansas. Who wants to come to Arkansas and go look at art? That's not a place you come to go to. But yeah, Northwest Arkansas it has become quite the spot too, with all Walmart pouring so much money in there. And then you got you got Tyson Foods up there and all that. So I missed it at times, but hey, it's not Nashville. There's plenty more to do in Nashville area, but especially with comedy scene. I mean, like of course it's more music here, which I love to see do music, but man, there is one comedy spot in all of Northwest Arkansas. I was like, in fact, I met this guy on a airplane, on a cruise, and he's a big into business, and I shot him this idea before I came here of opening because like it's so you have Rogers, Bentonville, then down lower Lowell. That's where the one comedy store is, and I shot him this concept of opening a nice, in either Rogers or Bentonville, opening a nice comedy store, and he thought that was very interesting. He gave me his number and stuff. I was supposed to hit him back up, and we're going to talk about it. Maybe, I mean, it'd be a fun thing to invest into. But,
and now on the stage, the funniest man in Nashville, Seth Ohms.
Gosh,
welcome to Lowell, Arkansas, Seth.
But yeah. I mean, I moved away, but I was like, that's a good spot. But there's some good. You got Zanies here, and then a number of other places. But Zanies is the main spot.
Didn't you go to a big comedy thing that was at Bridgestone Arena?
Yeah. I had the
Kill Tony.
There was
that's 20,000 cap, 20,000 capacity.
Yeah. I think when I was there, because they don't use like 25% of it. They don't use because they got the stage, and then we're from one part on or whatever, or because you got to use none of the all the, like 25% because of all the seats behind him aren't used. So there was, I think, 13,000 people.
Okay.
Yeah, and I got a random upgrade. They
knew you were the funniest man in Nashville.
It was pretty cool.
Next time they'll pull you on stage.
That was a lot of fun.
Seth,
I got so wet that night too, because I thought there's like an after party thing that was when the band was playing at, and I think I showed you video of that.
It was like a mile away or something.
Yeah, it was just a mile away, but it was downpouring. And luckily, somebody had left a umbrella, so I had an umbrella. But that didn't matter. I was kicking up water. I was soaking wet by the time I got down there. So annoying. I would never go back to that place too. Like, I can't remember the name of it, but the food was horrible there. The good little music stage, and this is the lamest thing I've ever seen. Like, it looked like they have like a VIP kind of area, and they had the bowling alleys. It was a bowling alley. These bowling alleys, all the bowling, it wasn't even a regular bowling alley. They were held by ropes. It was so cheesy. So rather than have a machine collect the pins, they just pull them up with strings.
That's a cheaper way of doing it. That's a newer way of doing it. I've seen videos of that.
I hate it. And I thought I was like, this can't be legit. This can't be like an official approved way. Yeah, it is. There's some disagreements that, how, because there is a rope attached to it. Yeah, that's going to cause some resistance. I don't care what you say, but it just looks tacky for one thing. And it's just a cheaper way to get your own, to have a bowling alley. It's just a little loophole, but it is approved by the bowling federation or whatever. I guess that style of the string of looks like a small rope is attached. That is approved. But a lot of people don't like it. I mean, I'm guessing you don't probably see that many tournaments like being held with them. I mean, it was so cheesy. I was like, and they probably charge out the.
Who do you think you are? I am.
I am. The best bowling line ever. I am.
The guy rolled a strike to win his third consecutive championship, and he was so excited. He admitted later that he really didn't know what he was saying, but he was really talking to somebody who had been, I guess, hassling him and catcalling him, and that's who he was really talking to. And maybe the guy was saying, "You're not the best. Who do you think?" And so he was saying, "Who do you think you are? I am." Which that by itself doesn't make sense, but he did say he was, and he admitted it didn't make sense. But it's a famous clip. You haven't seen it.
It's so ridiculous. It's like it's just bowling, buddy. Little kids come out and put up bumpers and play it. Let's calm down.
Good segue to the movie then. We just watched the probably one of the greatest bowling themed movies. There's character.
A list of movies that I need to see. Tim, since I've moved here, we've probably scratched 4 or 5 movies off the ones, a lot of movies in the 90s, 80s that I haven't seen. And you introduced me to
Big Lebowski.
Big Lebowski,
which is a Coen Brothers movie, and that's Coen, Coen Brothers. The dude abides.
Which is so funny because you said that right before he says it for the first time.
Oh, I did?
When we were watching it. Because he didn't say it to the end. And when he's walking away from the what's his name character?
Sam.
Sam,
the guy with the Western guy.
In Hollywood.
With the beautiful mustache.
Oh man, yeah, he's fantastic.
The actor, Sam.
Yeah, Sam
plays the Western roles.
He had that show with Ashton Kutcher on Netflix. I was big into that. In fact, I watched all that series. I don't know if you might have seen me watching, but way back in the day. But yeah, he was with that same theme of like Western. He was a cattle farmer. He was a cattle farmer rancher, and it was a comedy. It was really good too. But yeah, so yeah,
he was the stranger. He played the role of the stranger,
and did the
overtalk over the
overdub,
or not overdub, but
not the commentary, but the
narrator. Yeah, he was narrating what was going on, and the character. I don't know if they still do, but that movie was not a hit when it came out. But it became so many cult followers. I don't know, maybe that's fallen off.
Cult classic, yeah.
But they used to have the Big Lebowski weekends, and people would dress up as their favorite character, and most of them would dress up as Walter, who was played by John Goodman, and that was everyone's favorite character because he was a bad guy. I mean, he was a tough guy. He wasn't scared of anybody. Pulled a gun because somebody who went across the line.
As they're leaving, the cops are running into the bowling alley.
Somebody slips across the line, and he says it's a foul, and the guy said, "I didn't foul." Of course, this was the era before. It was set in an era before there was electronic scoring. And slipped across the line, and the guy said, "No, I didn't slip across the line." And then he pulls a gun out of his ball bag. No, they were scoring it regularly.
Were they write it down?
They were writing it down regularly.
Man, I'm so glad for electronic screening.
Yeah, I'd be interested to Google when because when I started bowling, I'm old enough to remember bowling where you had to score yourself.
Really?
Yeah. You had to score it. Yeah.
It's probably the most weird calculations. My energy drink went down the wrong tube a little bit. Went down the wrong tube a little bit.
And it also has for let's see. Well, it's got Steve Buscemi.
A bunch of good names, yeah.
And also the Flea, the bass player from Red Hot Chili Peppers, played a supporting role that you'd never know it was him. He played a group of German nihilists. It's just extreme stuff that is just. It also had big leading actress. I can't think of her name. Big name.
Who's played Jesus? What's his name?
Sorry?
Jesus.
Oh, yeah, John Turturro. John Turturro was in it. And who was the actress? Julie something. Julianne Moore? Moore. Last name Moore.
Oh, yeah. Julianne Moore is in
Julianne Moore. She was in it. And John Turturro played a bit part. It was a Jesus or a bowler, a Cuban or a Puerto Rican, probably Puerto Rican bowler. And so we just happened to notice that there was a Jesus Rolls that came out in 2020 that was on the screen, probably because we'd watched Big Lebowski, and we started watching it, and it came out in 2020. Apparently it was John Turturro's passion project that he's been wanting to put together for 20 some years, because the Big Lebowski came out in the 90s. So that came out in 20. So it's been over 20 years that he's had this passion to do an offshoot on that character and Jesus Rolls. And it's so bad. It is so bad. I love John Turturro, but he directed it and apparently wrote it. He should stay in his lane as an actor, because if that's an indication of how he can write, that was so horrible. So horrible. I mean, the Rotten Tomatoes, I think, was like 30% or something. Everybody said it was just really bad. And so, just because you can act doesn't mean you can write or direct. So
you had Tara Reid was in it, and then of course.
Oh yeah, Tara Reid. Yeah, a young Tara Reid. Yeah, she was only like 21 or 2.
We lost him a few years ago, but you had Philip Seymour Hoffman.
Right, I forgot Philip Seymour Hoffman. Yeah, he was there too.
2014, he passed away.
Wow,
it's been 11 years.
Yeah, now, so many big names. This
might mess with you a little bit. Guess who? When I pull up IMDb, guess who comes up as Big Lebowski? Okay, the dude should be the Big Lebowski.
Yeah.
On here, it's showing the man in the chair is the Big Lebowski.
Really? Wow.
So it never kind of references, but
maybe he's the Big Lebowski, and
he is the Big Lebowski.
Jeff Bridges,
which is funny because
Jeff Bridges,
is
the dude, and his name is Lebowski, and there's a mistaken identity.
Where these guys
coming after him because there's money owed, and they
guy in a wheelchair
who's also named Lebowski, who lives in a castle and acts like he's got a lot of money, but apparently he really doesn't. He's just a big facade. And his sister, Julianne, who played by Julianne Moore, says that he really doesn't have any money. He only gets money from the foundation.
They just cut him a check every month. He just has a little allowance or whatever.
Yeah.
But it's so funny. And he's not the main character at all. I mean, you see him in a small handful of scenes. And he is technically the name of the movie.
I guess so. Yeah, I guess it would be.
I guess so. I mean, it'd be interesting to kind of...
and the dude is just so chill. I mean, they come and they say, give me some money. We owe us money. And they dunking his head in the toilet like 3 times and pulling it out and saying, give us the money. Where's the money? And then he pulled him out. He's gasping for air. And they go in the opening scene and they go, where's the money? And he said, I don't know. Let me go down one more time and take a look.
Oh man!
And then that rug tied the room together. That's another famous line. That rug tied the room together because they stole a rug from his living room. I mean, and he lived very poor. I mean, he goes and buys milk so he can make a White Russian because that's what he likes to drink, and he pays it with a check. That's the opening scene, actually. Opening scene as the credits roll and titles roll, and he pays for it in 67 cents. it's a check for less than $1, and he writes it out. Probably going to bounce as well, based because he has no money. He's unemployed.
Yeah, definitely a classic movie. I need a Big Lebowski shirt now.
And he identifies it, even though he's gone on to win an Academy Award and stuff like that. He says that's his signature role. That's the one that he really loves. He played a over the hill country music star. I don't remember the name of it, but he won an Academy Award for Best Actor for that. And he sang all his own parts.
And what, he's in his 80s now?
No.
70s? 70s?
He might be late 60s. No way is he 80s. Maybe early 70s, late 60s, early 70s. And he's got a brother as well. And his dad was a big actor. Started with an L. Lloyd Bridges was his dad.
75.
He's 75. Okay.
Which is crazy because I think they're done now, but they did 2 or 3 seasons of The Old Man, the show on FX, and it looks like, I mean, he does some of the like scenes because unless they're using CGI, but there's some physical scenes, but that is a really good series. So that's pretty awesome for him to still be doing something.
Yeah, well, he grew up in show business. His dad, Lloyd Bridges, was a big actor. And I think he was a comedic actor. Was he in Airplane? I think Lloyd Bridges was in Airplane. Google that. I think he did some comedic stuff. And then he's also got a brother, Bo Bridges. So his brother is also an actor. And they have acted.
Airplane, Hot Shot.
Yeah, so Lloyd Bridges was a well-known. He did comedic acting.
Oh, yeah, I know that face. Yeah.
And he Shirley. Don't call me Shirley.
Died at 85, 98. Wow, he was a lot older than his brother then.
No. Lloyd is the dad.
Oh, Lloyd's the dad. Okay.
Bo is the brother. Bo. Beau. Bo Bridges. Not nearly as famous as his brother Jeff. But they grew up in show business, so they got a little bit of a head start. And they did at least one movie. The movie.
Oh yeah, I know that face. Yeah.
The movie with everybody's crush back in the day. What's her name? Michelle Phillips. Michelle Phillips did a thing with both the both of the Jeff Bridges and Bo Bridges, and she does this scene, and I don't know if she sang it or she just lip synced it, but she's on a piano, and she does a scene making whoopee, and it was quite famous when it came out, singing the song "Making Whoopee," very sensual, and Michelle Phillips, not Michelle Phillips, Michelle Phillips was the son of John Phillips. Michelle Pfeiffer.
Yeah.
Michelle Pfeiffer.
So
big heartthrob in the 80s and 90s.
He's the third. He's named after his father. But yeah, I feel like I've seen his face in so many different movies.
Oh, Bo. That's Bo, right?
Bo, yeah. And he's 83.
Bo's older. Okay. Yeah, well, they're both in that movie with Michelle Pfeiffer. I can't remember what it was called, but they were performing artists, music performing, and she came in and joined them on stage, and she did that one part where she sang that while strolled across the grand piano, and either Bo or Jeff, I don't remember which one, played the piano, pretended to play the piano, I suppose, acted, and it's a great scene. She's singing the song, Making Whoopee.
You speaking of like funny movies, you mentioned Hot Shots and I mentioned an Airplane. The guy that did Airplane also did Naked Gun, and they're redoing Naked Gun with what's his name from Taken, who's kind of like,
oh really, Liam?
and they got a movie, they got a trailer out it, and it's kind of ridiculous. And it'll
I
be
have a
fun.
set of special skills.
Oh my gosh! One of the most ridiculous part of the trailer is all the cops are looking at pictures of their father, and of course OJ was one of the people, and the black guy just looks up at his dad, which his dad's supposed to be OJ, and looks at the camera and says, "No."
Yeah, the funny bit, I don't know what it's from, is where Liam Neeson did the part where he bought what's the cereal just for kids? Tricks?
Yes.
Tricks?
Yeah,
Tricks.
it's just a random
Tricks is for
scene.
kids. Tricks,
Oh,
right?
He does it with Ted. Yeah, he does it with Ted.
Yeah, and
Ted
he
too.
says, is it okay? I'm not a kid. Can I take these? Will there be any repercussions?
Those are any repercussions for this?
I'm not
and
a
Ted
kid.
is like, no. He's just like, Ted's not being funny or anything. He's just taking he's like, no, I think it'll be okay. I understand that tricks are for kids, and hope it's not an issue when I take these. You promise I won't be followed?
yes, this whole thing. And we will forget this conversation. You will never remember that
No, sir. There's no problem here. It's just like, it's so genius. So genius.
Yeah.
Just Seth MacFarlane is a genius.
Comedy. Yes.
Just coming up with things. He did one that wasn't as big, but there's so much funny little parts in it. Is 1,000 Ways to Die in the West, and it's just it's like he plays the main character, and they're just like all kinds of crazy things are happening, and just like, just fluke ways that you would have died back in the West, just because it's just so.
He was I didn't think he. Are we thinking? He acts. I thought he was always behind the camera.
For the most part, he's always done voices and stuff. But yeah, he's done some acting, and he even had
He's the Hangover. He's the guy that did those, right? Or am I thinking of someone else?
This is Seth MacFarlane. He did Family Guy.
Oh, right. Who's the guy who did like all the Hangover and Pineapple Express and all that? That's a guy
I don't know who
does
directed or anything, but you had the same. You think of one of the guys that were in?
No, I'm thinking about the guy behind it.
I can't even remember who did that.
His big name. He's done a whole bunch of those, and he used the same actors for a lot of that.
He had the four main guys all come back for every. There was 3 of them,
and he did a lot more, like Pineapple Express.
Really?
What was the one where the Seth Rogen got his wife knocked up? I think that was all his.
Oh yeah. Okay. Well, Todd Phillips did.
No, not Todd Phillips. Another name.
No, yeah, he's the one that did The Hangover. But yeah, I think I know who you're talking about. Maybe he did one of the other. Todd Phillips is the first and second.
We'll edit this part out. No, we can. It's live.
Oh my goodness! Like, what is it? Yeah.
We'll come up with it. If anyone knows it, put it in the comments. There's a name. He's a big bunch of names behind a bunch of.
I think he definitely did Knocked Up.
He didn't do Hangover, huh?
No. But yeah,
Pineapple Express.
Judd Apatow.
That's the guy.
Yep,
Judd Apatow's the guy I'm trying to think of. Yeah. And he didn't do.
He didn't do the first 2 unless he
of Hangover.
The third one.
Wow. Huh.
But, yeah. I was trying to. You think of funny lines. You thought of. I remember you mentioned last time about. Having a game where it's around the funny lines of a movie, and I just was randomly watching
or just names in general.
Yeah,
just lines in general, like frankly, dear, I don't give a damn.
But there's I love when you literally almost have to pause the TV for a second to they say something so funny that it just makes you laugh so hard. And I started watching a little bit of the series on Netflix Wednesday, and the main and Wednesday is played, of course, it's the character from the Addams Family. And so then they have the series just revolves around her going to school and her causing troubles.
The little girl.
Yeah, the little girl. And they're having to. She got kicked out of one school because her brother was being picked on. So she loosed. She's in the pool where everybody was swimming, where all these guys were swimming. She put in a bunch of piranhas. So she's on the way to another school, and her mother is talking to her how she has a record now, and there's attempted murder or something, and you don't want people to know about that. And so little Wednesday says, yeah, I would hate for people to know how I failed. It was just the way she said it was so perfect. She didn't want people to know that she failed because it was attempted. It was only attempted. It wasn't full murder. Everyone will know that I failed. But yeah.
Well, Wednesday. Okay. That prompts me back to a music thing. And is it Day in a Life? The Beatles song where Monday's on the phone to Tuesday, and Wednesday. So Sunday, he mentions the days of the week, and I always thought that's so creative, but actually it was reality. There were people with those names that were calling. Tuesday Weld was an actress. That was her name. And there was a Monday, apparently a last. Some of them were last names. Sunday is his last name. Could be like Billy Sunday was a big evangelist, big Christian evangelist. So Sunday could be a last name. And anyway, what happened at that time, and she came in through the bathroom window. He had an apartment I think it was in California, and somebody broke into his apartment because they knew it was Paul McCartney's apartment, and tried to steal some things. He wasn't there. I think he was back in England. And in discussing this issue and telling him about it, these people were calling him and telling him, Monday called Tuesday, Tuesday Weld, who was a famous actor from that time. And I wish I knew the lines. Could you look up the lines from I think it's A Day in the Life, or maybe it's from, well, My Songs Are Running Together. Monday's on the phone to Tuesday. Just Google that. Monday's on the phone to Tuesday.
A Day in the Life lyrics?
Yeah. Is it Day in the Life? I might have my songs light up. No, it's not in the Day of the Life. She came, but it was a bit all medley. She came in through the bathroom window.
Somebody need to lock the bathroom window. Guys, apologize for the short pause. Please take this time to take your vitamins. Make sure if there's any medicine you need to take, please take that medicine. Talking to you, Gramps. You're out there. You need to take your pills.
Oh, here it is. Can anybody tell her? Did anybody see Sunday's on the phone to Monday, and Tuesday's on the phone to me? And I always thought, oh, man, that's so creative, making days of the week. But there were actually people with those names. That when you look into it, there actually were people with either first or last name. I know Tuesday was Tuesday Weld. Tuesday Weld called him about it because somebody had broken into his. Did anybody tell her? Did anybody see Sunday's on the phone to Monday, Tuesday's on the phone to me? And that was a song. She came through the bathroom window. And though she tried to help me, she could not steal, but she could not rob. I mean, just great lyrics. Great lyrics. So anyway, talking about Wednesday, people named made me think of it. That was the character's name, but there actually are people like Tuesday Weld is a famous actress. I'm sure she's probably passed by now, or she's quite aged because she was popular in the 60s. Tuesday Weld, and that was her name, Tuesday.
Or it could be named a direction, like north. Northwest.
Yeah. Well, there are people like Bill, the guy who got into trouble, the Sandinista thing for Reagan in the 80s. Bill, I think it was a Bill North. His last name was North. Or you were thinking someone else North?
Northwest. Kanye's child was named North, and his last name's West. He's so creative. Northwest. These celebrities really come up with some great stuff. I mean, I think there's one celebrity that named their kid Apple. Hey, Apple, come over here so I can take a bite out of you.
Yeah, well, Frank Zappa, named his daughter Moon Unit, and named his son Dweezil.
What a loving.
He was a weird dude. And then on top of that, while we're talking about the Zappas, Frank Zappa was a genius. I mean, the man, he even wrote classical music, and he put out I think 60 albums. An amazing guitarist, and he had a band that it was so tough to be in his band. You had to be really, 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 really good. There's a video of Steve Vai, phenomenal guitarist, who was like a teenager when he went and auditioned and made it into Zappa's band, and how strict Zappa was, and how he asked him to do all this. Okay, play that double time. Now play that syncopated. Now play that like a waltz. Now play it just really weird requests. And finally, he asked him to do something that Steve said, "That's impossible. You can't be done." And he said, "You can leave now." And then, so he wasn't sure, but he said, "You have the job." Anyway, so he was a weird dude, Frank Zappa, and he died from prostate cancer in his early 50s, and left a sizable, because he was so successful, sold a lot of records, and left a sizable estate. And his wife administered that and had a will when she died, and opened up the will, and lo and behold, they gave all of that estate to two of the kids and cut out the two kids that had normal first names. I don't remember their names, but they're like Mark and Jessica or something like that. I mean, they're not weird names. And the ones with the weird names, Dweezil and Moon Unit, were completely cut out by the mom. And Dweezil is the only one who's a musician. And he's been out playing his dad's stuff. He learned how to play all his dad's stuff. It's been touring for decades. And he actually was sued. He was saying Zappa plays Zappa because he's Dweezil Zappa and he's playing Frank Zappa. He got sued by his brother because they owned the names for Frank Zappa. And they said, "You can't use that name." And that was his family name by his own brother. I've heard they since reconciled and somehow came to some sort of agreement. But think about the pain. First of all, your mom dies, you're grieving her, and you open up the will and you find out that for whatever, you don't even know why, you thought you were equal footing with your siblings. Two of you are cut out of the will for whatever reason. Why? And you can't even ask her because she's dead. It's so sad. And they work through it. And then on top of that, you're saddled with the name Moon Unit for the rest of your life. So you're dealing with that. And Dweezil Zappa is an amazing guitarist, incredible guitarist. He said he had to completely relearn guitar to learn how to play his dad's stuff. That's how difficult it is, how difficult it was. And he learned it and has been touring. I think he's still touring. He had to change his name, though. He couldn't play Zappa because he got sued by his brother. Maybe he can now because they may have allowed him to do it with the agreement. But that's just nasty, 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 in my opinion. So
when you started saying music, just slow up, speed up, slow down, made me think of all the trauma I have from watching Whiplash, the movie.
Am I rushing or am I dragging? So you do know the difference.
Movie is crazy, man. I think everybody when he's really getting into it with him, it was like I think everybody's heartbeat had to have been going up.
No doubt about it. Yeah,
so
he's
intense.
slapping him and saying, and he's
gosh.
slapping him repeatedly and saying, am I rushing? Slap. Or am I dragging? Slap. Slapping him in the cheek. Crazy movie. You haven't seen it. Phenomenal movie. It's about a jazz band, jazz school instructor who's played by the guy who does all the commercials. We've seen a thing or two. Was that actor? He won Academy Award for his role in that. His initials are two initials. Not Rowling. He's got two initials. I think it starts with a J. Phenomenal actor.
Yeah, J.K. Simmons.
J.K. Simmons. Okay.
And then you have Miles Teller, which I think that was
he was the kid.
I think that was the beginning of his taking off as far as like he had done different smaller parts over the years, but he is turned into a mainstream
they say
actor.
he
now he did the Top Gun.
Now they say that he learned to play all his own parts. He'd never play the drums, but he played the drums on supposedly because they had to make it a real scene, make it real. He had to learn how to play it so that it sounded good or looked good, I should say. I mean, they're playing difficult parts. They're playing 5/4 parts and I mean jazz things that are difficult to play.
That came out 2014. It's crazy how the years go by.
Am I rushing or am I dragging?
Right. It's been years since I've seen it. So doesn't he like just blurt into a drum solo right in the middle of the...
Well, he does. What happens in the final scene, the J.K. Simmons, was it J.K.? J.K. Simmons. Simmons
JR, right? No.
J.K. Simmons. That character pulls a fast one on him. He gets him fired. Well, he gets him fired from the school, but yet he's got a jazz band together, and it seems like they make nice, but he hasn't really forgotten how the kid betrayed him. And even though he's pretending to make nice, he's going to embarrass him on this big stage. And he gives them the charts that he think they're going to play. And then when they go, he gives them the wrong charts. And then when they go to live, he smirks and says, okay, this is a song we're playing. And the kid hadn't even prepared the song that they did because everybody else had the right charts, but he'd given the kid the charts to the wrong song, and he was going to embarrass him. And somehow the kid made lemonade out of lemons. I don't remember exactly how he did it, but he just took over and he said, "Follow me," and he started playing a solo and just pushed the other guy out of it. And we don't know how it ended because then it cut. I mean, they could have gotten back together and made the best jazz band ever, or
doesn't he kind of smile at him though?
He does at the end. It's like he respects him because he does. So
he got him fired. I guess I remember. It's been.
He got him fired. The kid, because he was so violent. I mean, he was so.
Yeah, he was abusive.
He was abusive. Yeah, he would throw chairs at people. He was abusive, and so they got him fired from the school. Is how the storyline went, all fictional, and then he goes to see him, and he's playing piano in a little club somewhere, and he's been reduced to just performing, and he goes to see him, and they make nice, and he invites him to join him for this big competition because he's put the band together, even though he's not teaching anymore, and then he's going to really show him up. The interesting thing about it is that he has a girlfriend, and then he breaks up with his girlfriend, and she asks him why, and he says, because I don't have time for a girlfriend. I want to be the best drummer ever, and to do that I have to practice, and there's truth to that. I mean, I've talked to so many musicians that are so high at their craft, and they practice like 10-12 hours a day, nothing else. They have no time for nothing else, and that's often what it takes to be that good. So there was a lot of truth. And I asked my friend who went to a very prestigious college in New York, and I said, have you ever experienced anything like that? What that professor did, that seemed so outrageous and outlandish that would never happen. And he said, yeah, I have. And
Wow. Sounds like he was speaking from trauma.
my former girlfriend was a concert pianist in Japan, and she married a timpanist, and he graduated a degree in performance for timpani. And there's only one timpanist in an orchestra, and there's only how many full-time orchestras in the U.S.? Maybe 60. So you only have there's only in the U.S. there's only not that many jobs available. And if somebody's there, they're locked in, they're grandfathered in. They have to retire before there's an opening. They have tenure. They give them tenure, and like you give tenure in college. And so he's auditioning, and he did 65 auditions, and he failed every one. Some of them he was in the final 3, but he never made it. And he said, I'm married now. He had married her by then, and he's American, she's Japanese. And he said, what am I going to do? And so he went to training with a guy to coach him to do the auditions, and he did over 100 mock auditions with his coach. And he said that his coach would get so angry if you messed up, he would throw chairs and things. But after that year of that boot camp kind of training, his first audition, he got the job.
Wow. Some people can handle that. I think it depends on your personality.
So the first year, so the orchestra pays for the timpanis, and they're expensive. Kettle drums is another name for them, but the sophisticated name is timpani. They're multiple units, and he wasn't happy with the quality that the orchestra had. So he must come from a, I guess, somewhat well-to-do family. So he, out of his own money, bought $60,000 worth of timpani, so that, because for the first 2 years he was on probation, not really probation, but he didn't have tenure. They could have fired him, and he wanted to make sure, after all he'd been through, that he didn't lose his job. So he went out and spent the money to make sure, to help the sound being great, and bought the $60,000 worth of instruments that he wasn't supposed to have to do that, because the orchestra supplies that, but he didn't think it was quality enough. So he bought, and then he did get through and get tenure. And now he's been there for, I don't know, a while, and doing quite well. And she teaches piano, or did. And they live in, I think, Portland, Oregon. The orchestra there, whatever that one is called, timpanist for the Portland Orchestra. I haven't checked their Facebook in a while, but I think the last I checked, he was still doing it. Probably do it till he retires. I mean, that's the goal. You go to training, you go through school, and when you finally get that job, you do it till you retire, probably. Orchestras, symphony orchestras.
This has been another segment of What's My Ex Up To? Next week will be my turn, and I'll share what's my ex up to. Hope you guys enjoyed. But as you can see, this is Headed, and we will be going to the opera this evening, and it'll be enjoyable. We have tickets. We spend a minimum of $500 per seat, of course, and lovely seats, and steak dinner and such and so forth. It shall be lovely, lovely, lovely. Splendid.
But first you gotta get my sticks, Tim.
Guys, I think that does it for us today. We love
you. Thank you.
Thanks for watching, for listening, and enjoying the podcast. Feel free to follow us, of course, as always. Follow us on Facebook, and love for you to share the podcast and follow us.